What up? Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and finally back to normal, whatever that is, here at the Adorama event space in New York. I know we've been on the road for a little while. Last week got skipped due to a holiday, and I'm fresh off of Comic-Con, so if you hear me sounding weird, it's probably because I got con plague and I got sick from it. But we're gonna get through all this, some really cool stuff, a lot of good gear announcements, but some really interesting social aspects going on too, like Dr. Seuss going after a photographer for advertising Grinch themed shoots. Yeah, so this photographer was out there going, hey, for the holidays, if you want to have something similar to this right here in the lower right corner, we can do that. And Dr. Seuss, the corporation, was like, yo, you can't do this, and just emailed them a standard cease and desist letter. You probably heard about this because it got all over like Today and People magazine, all sorts of stuff. And they made it sound like it was crazy the way they were wording the email. It was a straight up cease and desist. It's not like they're suing them or whatever. They're like, yo, you can't use our character to sell or market your business. And that's pretty standard, okay? I'm kind of with Dr. Seuss on this one. I feel the comments coming, like, photographers need to work. I get you, but they built a character over decades and really did all the work to make the value in the concept of this character, the intellectual property, Dr. Seuss, all that stuff. You can't just go and take it and use it for marketing for your own business. It's just not, if someone did that with your images, you'd freak out too. You'd be like, you can't use my images to help promote your business and I get nothing out of it. I didn't create it for you. Well, they didn't create the Grinch for this photographer. I'm sure it was innocent. I'm sure she was just like, hey, it's a really cute idea and I can offer this and it'd be awesome. But in the end, you guys got to watch that kind of stuff. I know here in New York, I've seen nurseries and stuff being tapped by Disney Corporation to be like, hey, you can't have this mural of Mickey Mouse on your wall, so chill. Even at Comic-Con, there's definitely people walking around going, you can't sell this copyrighted, whatever. Things like that happen all the time. So if you're a photographer and you offer family services and stuff like this and you think that you can use trademark characters, watch yourself. I guarantee you they even have a team of people that once in a while search Grinch and see who's using it for advertising purposes and then send out the legal team after them. So I'm sure that goes for almost everything, Marvel, Disney, all of it, right? So watch yourselves. Let's talk about protecting some photographers though. At Disney, they're thinking of replacing the photographers with the photo passes with robots. So yeah, they're in beta testing right now to have the Disney photo pass photographers be replaced by animatronic quote unquote robots. And there's actually a petition going around, and it's by the people who go to Disney all the time and say like, hey, we don't want robots taking a picture. We want to have a human interaction and have a genuine moment of emotion or happiness or whatever you want to call it. They don't want to just have like, you know, an assembly line of photos. They want to have their experience documented, and part of that is having an interaction with a human being, and they really believe in that. So this is kind of cool. They got 90,000 signatures so far, and you guys can go right here to this petition page. I'll put the link down below. There's the AC. We missed that, right? It's really easy to sign up, send that petition, and it'll get added to the signatures. As you can see, they're up to 93,392 as of the time of this recording. So that's pretty cool, just seeing that people are just like, hey man, we want to have a craft somewhere. We can't keep having all these animatronics. You want to give me a robotic, happy Mickey Mouse when I'm in a floating boat? Go for it. But when I'm having my picture taken, I have to interact with something. I don't want it to be a robot. That's pretty awesome. Let me know if you down below if you're really worried about robots taking over photo positions. I know there's wedding photographers that have been talking about there's roaming robot services now that can go to a venue and just walk around and shoot photos randomly. What? Yeah, so are you someone that's scared of that? Write me down in the comments below. I'm pretty curious about that. However, in some sadder news, Polaroid Originals is announcing that they're going to end Spectra instant film. So Spectra is literally for like one camera style. It wasn't a film that was, again, along a lot of models of camera. So I'm sure there aren't a lot of models of cameras out there that need this film, but they did absolutely finish their last run of the film. So you can see that this is their announcement about how they stopped production and how they're sad and sorry about it, but they have their business that they move on. But you can see that the black and white is $20, or you can get a 24 exposure triple pack for $56, which isn't too crazy. And grab it now if you're a Spectra user, because someone's gonna buy all that stuff and throw it on eBay for like $100 a pack. Because I remember when Polaroid 669 went down and I was in love with that film, I went everywhere for it and I was paying a ton of money, and I still have 2 packs of it left in my fridge and I'm scared to use it all the time. But you know, you got to use the film, otherwise it just goes away forever. So I know, I love instant film. I'm a huge believer in instant film. I love that stuff. And to top that off, just to let you guys feel a little bit better, Fujifilm has put out the Mini Link smartphone printer. So at least we can still use this film, right? It's obviously the Instax Mini, the one-step process film. It's a super small printer. For like $100, you can do all this goofy stuff on your phone to create an actual print. So we've seen these printers before, right? But this is the Instax Mini, and it's great. Look how small this thing is. Like, that's a pair of glasses, and this thing can fit in your palm, depending on your hand, I guess. It's supposed to be out now. So it's available in a few colors, pink, dark blue, silver. Go grab it if you're an Instax user. And if you're not, and you just have a phone, all you gotta do is $100 for the printer, a pack of film, and you're ready to go for just handing somebody in real life a print, something from your phone. I mean, what's better than that? I love that kind of stuff, because, you know, we're all living in ones and zeros, and you can text a photo and you can post a photo, but for someone to actually have something that they have to put in their pocket, and at the end of the day they take it out and go, oh yeah, and then have a minute with it. I totally remember this stuff all the time. Check out my Fuji Instax demo on Adorama's IGTV, and I'll show you exactly why instant film is so special to me, especially with the intro to that. It was a while ago, so you have to scroll down, but trust me, I'll put a link down below, don't worry about it. So that's pretty awesome. Instagram, yeah, so Instagram is unveiling Threads, which is an app for sharing photos with only your close friends. So basically, this is them totally trying to shred down the last bit of Snapchat's appeal. You can post up stuff it's basically a private Instagram. It's of the moment. It's basically their Snapchat, and you dial down your following list of people you're actually interacting with. So basically, the people that are on Instagram that are having tons of followers and they're thinking they're having like an actual social aspect, they're really not. Now we're going from full transparency to really talking to people, to now growing these Instagrams to monster size, to where they're their own business. We've talked about influencers and the fake weirdness of that, and now it's just going to get even more of a divide, because people are only going to share what they want to share to the public, and therefore it's almost like that's not really social anymore. It's kind of you're sharing just what you can get something back from. This seems to be more for, oh, I actually do know you. So I'm wondering what's going on there. There's plenty of other things out there, like OnlyFans, and people have Patreon subscriptions like that. I don't think this is gonna have a monetary value, but I do think that for people that have these huge Instagrams or use them for less of a social purpose, like actually showing their personality in their life and whatever else, to whatever they want to share, this is kind of divide them back to, hey, you're really my friend or something. It's kind of interesting. I do think Snapchat's on its way out. That's just my opinion. There's plenty of people that still use it. I can't stand it, and quite frankly, I'm exhausted just from Instagram and a few other social platforms. I don't know how people have so much sharing ability or time, or even stuff to share. I don't know. Let me know down below if you're a Snapchat user and you're a pro photographer. I'm really curious if there's actually a pro market on Snapchat. It seems to be more of like a younger demographic and more of a disposable platform than anything else. Let me know down below. Like weeks, maybe even months ago, we talked about the MacBooks from 2015 that had a recall because the batteries were exploding. Well, this photographer is in Vietnam, and he was with a recalled MacBook, this isn't his MacBook. This is the original MacBook that's been being passed around that caused the recall, and he can't get out of Vietnam. He's been flying all over. He says security, when he attempted to catch a flight back to Europe, they grabbed him and said, yo, you can't use this, and he is actually staying in Vietnam till he gets the parts, the repair certified that the MacBook was taken care of, because they're that serious about this. So precautions are precautions. I'm just wondering, how deep do they go to figure out that that's a recalled MacBook, right? Do they look at the serial number and have like a database of serial numbers? Is it slowing down security that much? I mean, I just flew all over the place, and I have a 2015 MacBook. It's not a recalled version, but nobody looked at my serial number. No one asked me for any documents that was repaired. So I'm wondering where the line is for security to go, hey, check that one out, kind of interesting. Just so you guys are aware, the Nikon D5, I'm sure you've seen this all over the place. The Nikon D5, their flagship camera right now, is $1,000 off. Yeah, so it was a $6,500 camera that's now $5,500. This is a beast of a camera. I'm not here to sell you on it, but I think it's interesting that they did this like a few weeks after the announcement of the development of the D6, which is going to be their next flagship, which will be optical, not mirrorless, but we can debate the the market of DSLR versus mirrorless all day long, but there still is people that want to shoot optical, whether you're a mirrorless person or not. People that are out there saying that you have to go mirrorless if you're pro, they're usually people that aren't working in an industry where they have to depend their life on their gear, and they go with what they know. You know, you really have to take that with a grain of salt. The D6, no one knows anything about it. I'm really curious what they're putting in this thing. They're calling it the most advanced DSLR that could ever be made. I'm sure Canon will also have some similar release, because even though we're in a mirrorless, beginning of a mirrorless era, like taking over more or less, there was still research and development put into optical cameras in these other companies. So they're not going to just go, oh, you know what? You know all that money we spent on this? Let's shut it down. No, they're going to put out what they've been working on. And I'm sure they'll be great. Whether the market is big enough to bear it or the price point is there for people to absorb it is another talk altogether. I'm sure that going forward, the R&D being cleared out for all the current technology and all the resources being focused on newer technology like better processors to handle more inside of a mirrorless camera, you know, faster frame rates, faster autofocus, multiple calculations. Speaking of which, Sony has just released the A9 Mark II. So they're really talking about, so the A9 Mark II came out and they were like, this is Sony's mirrorless full frame for sports photographers, and that came out. And it's still the same sensor from a couple of years ago, 24.2, same sensor, 20 frames per second, blackout free shooting, which is as it was, and 20 frames per second is like 3 or 4 frames away from just being video. They're saying it does 60 calculations per second, super fast autofocus, which is what they said a while ago, but now it has 2 UHS-2 SD card slots, a little bit better stabilization from what I understand, a better grip. Like, they're actually listening to people now saying that their ergonomics are a little, me being one of them, because I cannot use a Sony for too long before my knuckles feel like they're gonna rip off. And if you're gonna be someone shooting sports, you're gonna have a long monster lens on it like this, and you're gonna be standing on those sidelines for a long time, and it better be comfortable. You know, even if you're using a monopod, your fingers still have to fit on that grip. It'll have a battery grip that can use the Z battery, 2 Z batteries, so better battery life, better grip, better ergonomics, better stabilization, same sensor. I'm sure it's like the same overall image quality. I did have my hands on this thing personally, and it did feel like a better, more substantial camera, better weather sealing. But what they're really boasting about this is that there is better connectivity, meaning that you can go from a shot and get you out of the camera with Ethernet and other means to get your shot up to the wire. So if you're a professional photographer and you're shooting at the Olympics, because they totally released this just in time for the next Olympics, you can get the shot up onto the wire or to your publication super fast and get it to where it has to be, because the shot almost has to be instantaneous these days, right? We have people pointing phones at everything we're doing now, especially with the new iPhone that can have a telephoto to get in there, and then it's on social on somebody's popular webpage before a real publication can actually, not a real, I shouldn't say real, but like an accredited publication can actually get legitimate shots from a professional up. So that's what Sony really focused on. I have to give them credit for that. This has been like an issue, and they really have their hand on the pulse of what's going on right now in the industry. So it's really interesting. One of the other things I find that is super valuable in this is the voice memoing. So a lot of other flagship cameras had this also. Even the D5 that we just talked about had voice memo, where you could like take a shot and voice memo into the camera, so you don't have to like sit there with a pad and write things down. But what's cool about this is that it actually transfers your voice memo to text into the metadata of the image. So let's say I shot something, I can go, you know, the Olympics gold medal, blah, 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 right? The camera will then take it, that voice memo, and do the best it can to translate into a text. And we all know how that's worked with like visual voicemails over the years, right? Anyway, I don't know how good it is, but it's cool that they did this. Now you have a voice memo that's translated text into the metadata of the image cuts out of the camera via Ethernet or whatever you're going to use in this camera with all the connectivity options it has. It gets to publication. The publication doesn't have to go, where's the email that said who was and what's the credits? No, they just open up the metadata and boom, that shot is on their website and properly credited, given if the information is legit or not. So I got to give Sony credit on that one. A lot of people are kind of saying like, well, what's the big deal? It seems like the same camera. You don't always need to have a new sensor. If the sensor is great and the processing is great, you really don't have to freak out about it. Another thing that they did with this, they made the mechanical shutter faster. So it's 10 frames a second as opposed to 5 frames a second it used to have, which is great. I mean, listen, if sports photographers want speed, they want accuracy, and they need to get it out of the camera fast, they listened and they put it together. So that's Sony put out their flagship, and now we're gonna wait for everyone else to throw their flagships out, right? I mean, we got the D6 coming. I don't know what's coming from Canon, you know, and also now we're talking about two different lines. We're talking about DSLRs and mirrorless going side by side, right? At least that's how Nikon was marketing their thing, is that like the Z series goes right next to your D series. Ugh, man, all these letters and numbers drive me crazy. Let's talk about a 500 megapixel super camera that came out of China just now. So yeah, 500 megapixels. What the basic reasoning for this is security. So they're basically saying that this camera's 500 megapixel sensor is equipped with cloud computing technology and facial recognition software and real-time monitoring capabilities. This basically means that if somebody they're looking for gets out into the streets and there's tons of people, they can still get enough resolution to have facial recognition work, find the person quickly and apprehend them or whatever happened. I don't know. There's a lot of concerns about this being a reason for people to, or companies to research behavioral attributes of people and then use that into marketing, like very targeted marketing. I'm sure you guys get weird Facebook ads out of nowhere after you say something and you think that they're watching you. Well, people are feeling this might be another level of watching, and it is, right? I mean, we have cameras in the street already, but what's the point of those cameras if they can't optimally do what we need them to do, like actually recognize someone they're looking for? Pluses and minuses like anything else, but this is a lot of power to have out there for sure. They're trying to roll this out to plenty of countries. They're trying to roll this out into other companies to buy it and put it out there. Read this article before you jump down the whole like Big Brother wormhole on that. I'm not trying to like justify things, but I am somebody that is recently going through something where that security was breached, and it's like, well, find the guy, right? So, you know, it is what it is. Let's get a little more upbeat on some gear news. So Lexar releases their CF Express cards. It's raw 4K and up to 1750 megabyte read transfer speed. So what's cool about this is, one, it's another company making these. Two, it comes in 128 gig, 256 gigabytes, and they're claiming that they're durable. They're like not marketing so much as a tough card, but they're kind of saying, hey, it's a tough card, which is great because, you know, of course, with the one card slot thing, you want to have a more reliable card, things like that. But what's great is more companies making CF Express means that it becomes more of a norm, which means that more people buy it, more abundance of them means the price goes down and you have options and there's competition in the marketplace. So this is pretty good. They're available for pre-order. 128 gig is about $200. 256 gig is about $400. Hit the link if you guys want to check that out. Two releases from GoPro. We're talking about the Hero 8 Black and the Max for 360 stabilized capture. So this is the Hero 8, which is the next iteration of the Hero series. Obviously, we just came off the 7, and this is the Max 360, a 360 cam with an actual screen on it, which is awesome. We did put out a video with someone using the Hero 8. You can go through that. One of the coolest features of it is this, that the mount is actually built into it and flips out as opposed to having to need a secondary piece, and then it's like a weird awkward shape. And the other cool thing is over here there is a media, like a weird port for a light or a screen or even a mic, things like that. So they're saying you can actually expand a system just on this one little thing alone, which is pretty cool. Not some crazy monumental changes as far as quality and stuff like that, but there is obviously thought going into, well, what can we expand something into if you get this camera? I think that the integrated mount is really awesome because that's been something that's been an issue with a lot of past models, that you need all these pieces, or if you didn't have the piece, you can't just put on a quarter 20 mount or something like that. It's been annoying. The other release being the Max, which is 2 cameras. You can see this. And it does the 360 view. It also does like a special panorama view, which is pretty cool. And just having the screen there on a 360 camera is a big deal. And I mean this because I use the Theta a lot. I love it. It's also a few years old now. And there's no screen, right? You're just kind of like guessing and hoping, and you're taking like a few shots, and then you go on your phone, you look around on it, and the whole process takes a little while. But here, if you're already looking at what the camera's doing, that's a huge speed boost, and definitely doesn't waste memory, because even if you get like a garbage 360 shot, you're kind of like, I should save that. And then you're just eating up drive space or whatever. So check that out. All right, I'm going to jump back to Instagram really quick because I screwed up and I should have put this story right next to the other Instagram story about the Threads app. Instagram has got a new restrict tool that lets you shadow ban trolls and bullies. So basically, if someone leaves some shady comments on your stuff, you can shadow ban them, quote unquote. What this basically does is they don't realize that they've been blocked because they still see their comments coming up from their account, but no one else sees their comment. And you can like also ban them from seeing when you're active. So they won't really be able to get a chance to jump on your page. And with people flying through so much content, I'm sure that they just kind of like forget about it after all, unless they're obsessive. But if they are and they leave more and more comments, it doesn't go anywhere. And because they're kind of being like rope-a-doped a little bit, that they're seeing their comments, but they think that other people can see them as well, they're not getting more aggressive and vicious and stuff like that. In theory, I don't know. I think this is a positive move. I can tell you YouTube comments get grosser and grosser sometimes, and it doesn't matter what the content is. If it has somebody in there that they either hate or something like a pretty person and they just can't control themselves, it's just terrible. And I'm hoping that we can suppress more and more these comments, and if they don't get anything back from writing these things, after a while they're just like screaming into a void and they kind of give up. So this is kind of like an automatic ignore without having to worry about them realizing you're ignoring them and them lashing out. I think it's a pretty good move. I'm curious to see how it goes going forward. That's like the worst way to say that. I'm curious to see how this evolves, if there will be some splashback, if people will just create multiple accounts and eat up more and more of the time and ambition to just attack pages and stuff. If so, this is just, I don't know where we're going, but it's pretty sad. Okay, so let's cap this out with some homegrown news. Adorama went through a rebrand. Check it out. So this was the iconic long-standing logo with the aperture, and here's the new one with a more modern font, and the O being a bunch of pixels that are coming together into fruition to create a solid piece of content. I have to give Adorama a bunch of props here. They basically took a step back and said, hey, look, nobody's just a photographer anymore. Nobody's just doing video anymore. People are out there, more people than ever before, are creating content, images, video, audio, podcasts, vlogging, making documentaries, short films, putting out photo books, building Instagrams, all sorts of stuff out there. And they just said, we want to be there for them. So yes, Adorama's a retailer. Got it. And they kept on saying their tagline is not just another camera store or something, more than a camera store, I think it was, or something like that. What they're basically saying here is, we just want to be there for you, okay? And I'm coming from someone that used to be a customer here, and now I became an instructor and a teacher here, and then I became a guy shooting for them and doing stuff like this. And I thank you guys for taking the ride with me. What they basically are saying is, not only can you get the equipment here, but we have your back with people like me, Daniel Norton, Vanessa Joy, Gavin Hoey, Mark Wallace, Davd Bergman. The list goes on and on. There's instructors here. There's nonstop video content coming out. Our blog is now 42 West, which is awesome. There's so much available information out there. And like I keep saying, there's a lot of information, but not a lot of wisdom on the net. Here, at least you know you're getting credited people that actually work in an industry, that actually have been through it, have been through evolutions of it, and not just popular people that been shooting for like 2 years and might be giving some advice based on almost nothing. The education is here, right? IGTV, huge amount of demos on there. I just put one up myself, shooting cosplayers. Adorama TV, I mean, Daniel Norton's on like episode 3 zillion of Onset, which is nonstop lighting tutorials. The live demos, 2-hour-long live demos right here in the event space. The Facebook page, the video content on the Facebook page alone comes right out of here live. So you not only just get like information, but you get to see the little tidbits in the middle, see how people think, how professionals really come across, and how they're trying to convey themselves and their work and stuff like that, which is super important. This isn't just a logo. This is letting people know that we're here because we want to be there for you guys. And you know, take it for what you will, but I wouldn't be teaching here or spending my time or energy so much on this platform if I didn't really believe that we provide some of the best education out there, and that we give a different sided look to things, and we make sure that what we put out there is viable, credible, absorbable, and enjoyable. Thank you guys so much for being so much a part of Adorama over the years to change this logo from this crazy Viacom looking thing to what they really feel shows where they want to be and go and how they're here for you. So this channel wouldn't be anything without you, and we're approaching 1 million subscribers, which is enormous. And you know that once we hit 1 million, there'll be something huge. So tell your friends, share the videos around, hit like, do all that stuff, comment, blah, 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 all that stuff. Okay? And speaking of instruction and great instructors that we have here, Davd Bergman, guess what? Back on Adorama TV, here he is. Ask Davd Bergman. He's talking about medium format versus DSLR. You can actually send Davd Bergman any of your questions and he will do what he can to answer them on our YouTube channel. It was on IGTV, it was on our Facebook, it's probably still on our Facebook, which it did really well on. And now he's back Mondays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's the AC again, I missed you. Mwah. So if you've been missing out on Davd Bergman from his 2-minute tips, which are still a long-standing playlist on Adorama TV right here, you can check them out right there. Okay, that was a lot. I'm gonna leave it there, guys. And the question of the week, what do you guys feel about the animatronic robots that they're claiming will take over photographer jobs? I'm really curious about that. I'm wondering if there are genres of photography out there that pros are working in right now that they really feel are at risk of going away forever because robots could technically do it. Or do you guys think that we will see a robot revolution for photography and then there'll be a backlash of people going, these images feel cold and static and I would like to have an actual human being take photos for me? Because I think if you talk to any portrait photographer, it's the interaction and getting the person to be a person is really what being a great portrait photographer is about. So wondering if we'll ever get to a point where machines can do that. Skynet, I didn't say that. Seriously, write me down below if you work as a professional in this industry and you have some sort of genre that you're actually worried about robots taking over your position. And do you think that there'll just be some other new genre that comes forward in photography? I mean, look, there's people shooting for social media people to keep their Instagrams and blogs up. We didn't have that before. You know, there was no such thing as lifestyle photography every day for the same person. There's guys I know that are like basically signed to an influencer now. So it's kind of crazy, right? Are we going to see newer genres of photography going forward? I'm just asking. I'm 3,000 questions of the week. I'm sorry. Let's stick to the robot one. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys soon. Be sure to hit like, share this video around, hit the bell so you don't miss these. And, you know, thanks for being part of this, guys. Not only me, but everybody here, Daniel, Norton, Vanessa Joy, Gavin, Mark, all of us. We really appreciate it. All right, guys, I've been talking too much. Later, bye.